Hi guys, this is Sam Gabriel, and in today's video, I want to look at the Nest Protect and see how it operates and try to answer a few questions around who it talks to and what the security of the device is. And for those who don't know what the Nest Protect is, it's a smoke and carbon monoxide detector or alarm. I have one of those in my home. I'm pretty happy with it. It's pretty nice. You can access it from your smartphone from anywhere and sends you alerts to the smartphone. It also talks to notify you if there's smoke alarm or if there's carbon monoxide alarm as well. So pretty cool, pretty neat. I don't have the Nest thermostat with it. I actually bought the Ecobee thermostat, and I'll be talking about that in a separate video. But for this video, basically, there are 7 questions that I'd like to answer. Uh, the first one, what does the Nest talk to on the internal LAN, if anything? Then what does the Nest talk to on the internet? And third question, where are the Nest services hosted on the internet? And then is the communication between the Nest device or the Nest Protect and Nest services on the internet secure? Does it use a secure connection? Number 5, can we see what information is sent by the Nest Protect to the cloud? Are we able to see that information? Are we able to open the payload, the packets, and see inside of it or not? And if we can, what is actually inside of it? Number 6, does the Nest app that comes on the smartphone, whether Android or iPhone, does it directly connect to the Nest Protect on the local LAN and talk to it locally, or does it talk to the cloud services? And finally, number 7 is the Nest, the app for Nest. Is it secure? Is the communication out to Nest services on the internet or in the cloud secure? And we'll cover each one of those questions in detail on the ExtraHop appliance to see um, what kind of communication actually happens here. So I'm going to go straight to the ExtraHop, and I'm going to look for Nest, and I named the device here. And you notice that there are 3 devices that show up. A layer 2 device is just a generic parent device that gets discovered for the MAC address of Nest, and you can see the MAC and Nest Labs. Then you have 2 devices discovered, and I have 2 extra hops running. One extra hop is looking at the internal local traffic inside my LAN, and the other one is looking at the external traffic going out to the internet. Now, in my home lab, you could use only one extra hop. It's just going to be a little bit difficult to get the feed in from the external, my SRX Juniper firewall, to bring that into um, the internal virtual extra hop running on my uh, VMware ESXi host. So anyway, we're going to go straight into the um, local extra hop to try to answer the first question to see whether the Nest talks internally at all. And first of all, I want to see what protocols it speaks. So I'm going to pivot back to the last 7 days just to get a broader view of what communication goes through here. As you can see, the maximum bit rate, 2 kilobits per second, very, very minimal communication, so it's not really hogging the WAN link out to the internet in any way. Um, sorry, this is actually within the LAN, so it's not really hogging the LAN in any way. And if you notice the protocols that it's speaking on my local LAN, DNS and DHCP, inbound and outbound, which is expected. So let's just go back look at the last 6 hours to see if there's a pattern of how often this communicates and tries to interrogate my DNS server. So you can see it's probably every half hour, every 15 minutes, or every hour or so. So not a whole lot. So I want to see exactly who it's speaking to on the LAN. I kind of have an idea that it's only DNS at this point, but just to visually look and see what's happening on the LAN from this device. So starting from my Nest device, I want to see all of its peers. As you can see, there's only one peer here, which is my DNS server. And you can see the protocol, it's DNS, and the traffic is moving from the client to the server. So I want to see what these DNS records are. So I'm going to click on the line here connecting the two devices. And I get a list of all the transactions that occurred in the last 6 hours between these two devices, specifically for DNS requests and responses. So I only see 54 records during these 6 hours. I'm going to group this by query to see what DNS query the Nest is actually looking for. So there are only two queries that it's looking for, these two that you see on the screen. So that's great. Now I just want to see the actual answers that come back from DNS. So I'm going to add another field here for answers. And I'm going to change this to verbose mode to get a clearer picture. So for this specific query, here's the answer that comes back from DNS. So it's a CNAME, and it's pointing to compute node, I guess, on Amazon AWS. And here's, I think this is the same one. And here's the A record, so here's the actual IP of that device. So from here we understand and we know that this is looking for a service that's hosted in AWS cloud, in Amazon's cloud. Here's the other query, the one that we saw before. It's also pointing to the US East Region 1 ELB, Elastic Load Balancer in AWS's cloud as well. And here's the other IP that it's getting. So that's great. So now we understand that it's only talking locally on DNS and DHCP, and we know the services it's asking for are hosted in US East 1 region of AWS cloud. So that's excellent. So now let's look at the other ExtraHop to see how the Nest communicates outbound to the internet. So pivot over here. Again, pull this back for maybe a day's worth of data to see if there's anything that we're not seeing. From the overview, once again, the maximum is about 100 kilobits per second of throughput that's going out to the internet, which is very minimal, and it's not happening all the time. As you can see, it's almost, what is it, 7 o'clock, 7:30, almost every half hour. And let's just make it a bit clearer and look at a 6-hour window. As you can see, the actual protocol that's being used here for the Nest speaking outbound is this TCP 11095. I did a quick Google search on this particular port for TCP. As you can see, it's called Weave. It's probably something that Nest Labs licensed or is working with. You can see here Nest device to device and device to service application protocol. So that's great. So it's definitely this Nest protocol, and we only see TCP on this side. We don't see UDP connections going out. So that's excellent. So now we know what's happening. I would have expected this to actually be encrypted, so SSL, but apparently it's not encrypted, just running on this TCP 11095, which is interesting. And I would like to actually open up the payload and see what's inside, if we can understand what's in this protocol. And we'll do that in a minute. But once again, I want to see the activity map to see what this guy is doing and whether it's actually talking to anything on my LAN visible on this machine, on this ExtraHop. And as expected, it's only going out to the internet. You can see the TCP connection here going out to my through my Juniper firewall, and this is also my Juniper firewall they are one device, but it's just the way that Juniper actually gives me a span. Um, it actually appears as two devices. Probably a topic for another video. So that's great. So it's actually only going out to the internet. We've verified that. The next thing I want to do is look at the peer IPs. Who is it actually talking to? Now from DNS we did see the answers for which IPs, and the, these are the IPs that we've seen. But I want to put it on a geomap to see where in the world these are. So ExtraHop has a MaxMind database embedded into it so that it actually knows where IPs are in the world. And in this case, as we figured from before, this is the US East Region 1, which is in Virginia. And here are the three IPs that we've seen earlier. So that's great news. It's local in the States, well, kind of local, Canada, US sort of thing, but it is in AWS, so that's great. We did verify that. All right, so this video has been running for quite a while now, so let's cut it short here, and we'll follow up with maybe one or two more videos to get more into detail as to answering the remaining questions. But before we do that, let's recap what we have so far. So we were able to answer the first three questions regarding the Nest Protect. So internally on the LAN, it's talking DNS and DHCP. It may be talking something else if I had more Nest devices at home, but I only have the Nest Protect. The communication outbound to the internet uses TCP 11095, and we found out where the Nest services are located. They're in Virginia, in the Amazon AWS cloud, in the East US 1 region. So let's pause here, and we'll continue in the next video to answer the remaining questions and dig deeper into the protocol that gets used by Nest, and to answer the question whether it's secure or not, and then look at the Nest app and see its communication. Thanks for watching.